During the American Civil War, both the Union and Confederate governments had to find a way to supply their army with weapons. Today I'm going to be talking about the two most commonly used firearms during the Civil War, the 1861 Springfield and the 1853 Enfield. Join me as I compare and contrast these two very interesting firearms. In order to compare and contrast these weapons, we first need to know about the history of each. Right here is the Springfield model 1861 rifled musket. It was developed by the Springfield Armory in Springfield, Massachusetts. It was designed in 1861 specifically for the Civil War. It used a percussion system, which means that it used a percussion cap filled with fulminated mercury inside to ignite the powder. It fired a .58 caliber bullet, about the same size as the Enfield. Well over 1 million of them were made in the course of the Civil War, and they were by far the primary Union weapon during the American Civil War. It weighed approximately 10 pounds. It was a 3-banded weapon that you still had to ram the bullet down with a ramrod. The South did use them if they were captured, but did not produce any of them themselves. Their weapon that they turned to was the pattern 1853 Enfield, or P53 Enfield. It also used the same percussion system as the Springfield. The Confederates purchased these firearms from England, and they became one of the most popular rifles used by the Confederates. The Union also used these weapons during the Civil War, but they also had to get them imported from England. Some similarities in these two weapons are that both fired around a .58 caliber mini ball that allowed these guns to fire extreme distances. Both had range up to about 1,000 yards, and both used a percussion ignition system, meaning that they both had a percussion cap filled with fulminated mercury that, upon being struck, would ignite a spark, which would ignite the gunpowder. Some differences are that, as you can pretty quickly see, the Enfield is the barrel and bands and lock system is all blued, as the Springfield is not blued, meaning that the Springfield often was far more susceptible to rust. However, it did look pretty cool. Some more differences is that the Enfield had a far more wider range of sights, had from 100 all the way to 900 yards. As of the Springfield, only had 3 sights, only going to 500 yards. Some more differences is that the ramrods were slightly different. The Springfield rod had more of a gradual tip, as in the Enfield, which had a small gap which you could use to hold patches. Both guns could have a strap, and both guns had a bayonet, like this, which would just go on the end of the musket, like that, and they would have a bayonet on. As of which one the Civil War soldiers of the war preferred, it varies. Most Union soldiers that got issued the Springfield far preferred it. They said it looked pretty, fired great, and was very reliable, as well as being comparatively lightweight. The Confederates, on the other hand, if they could get the Springfield, they'd use it, but their overall favorite gun was the Enfield, which they far preferred over almost any other type of gun they were issued. For reenacting purposes, if you're looking at getting a weapon for reenacting, both guns are a great choice. They were very widely used and are incredibly period accurate. Of course, if your unit is portraying a certain aspect, or they require a certain weapon, you should obviously go with whatever they pick. But for reenacting, I have found that the Enfield rifle right here is quite a bit better for reenacting. One, because it doesn't rust and you don't have to worry about that problem. Second, because for reenacting, you just load the powder in with nothing else, just tap the butt on the ground, and then put the cap on and fire. For the Enfield, it has a direct channel from the ignition spot of the cap straight to where the powder is, meaning that when you're not ramming the powder down, it's a bit more reliable to use. The Springfield, on the other hand, has a slight curvature right here, meaning that it's harder for the powder to get into this area or the spark to go around it, making it quite a bit easier to get misfires on the Springfield. Overall, for reenacting purposes, both guns are a great option. If you keep them in good condition, they will serve you quite well. Overall, both these guns played a very important role during the American Civil War. Being high-tech for their time, they were the cause of the horrendous amount of casualties during the war. And that was a quick overview of the two most prominent weapons during the American Civil War. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.